Imagine walking into an airport in 2026. You've got your ticket, you've got your bags, and you've got 40 years of flying experience. You think you know the drill, but as you approach the gate, you realize the rules have changed while you were sleeping. The systems are automated, the faces are gone, and the assumptions you've relied on for decades are now your biggest liability. I'm Liam, the terminal traveler. For 12 years I've worked as a travel advisor, helping thousands of passengers navigate the sky with confidence. I've seen policies turn cold, and I've watched capable, seasoned travelers over 65 get flagged, delayed, or outright stranded because they didn't know the playbook had been rewritten. This isn't just internet panic. This is the new reality of 2026. I've seen people like Mr. Caldwell, a 70-year-old traveler who did everything right, nearly miss his flight because he didn't know the one sentence required to bypass a digital glitch. Today, I'm giving you the 10 critical airport rules for 2026 that every senior must know to protect their time, their money, and their dignity. If you don't use the scripts I'm about to give you, the airline's computer system will treat you like a number, and in 2026, that number is usually at the bottom of the list. Before we go any further, let me ask you something real quick. Where are you watching from today? Just the city or country is perfect. I read every comment, and it helps me understand who I'm protecting with these videos. The first thing you need to understand is that your age is now a quiet flag in the airline's database. Starting in 2026, when you book a ticket, the system automatically tags reservations for passengers over 65. You might think this is a good thing, a way for them to offer help, but in my 12 years of experience, I can tell you that this flag is passive. It does nothing to help you unless you activate it. Behind the scenes, the airline uses this flag to manage their own liability, but gate agents are now trained not to assume you need help. If you stay silent, you get treated like a 20-year-old backpacker, even if you need more time to get down that jet bridge. To beat this, you must turn that passive label into active protection. After you book, do not wait for the airport. Call the airline or use their chat feature and say exactly this: I am over 65 and I require my reservation to be noted for pre-boarding and additional time to board. These specific words trigger a secondary code in the system. I once watched a woman stand at the gate while pre-boarding closed right in front of her. She assumed the system knew she needed time, but it didn't. In 2026, the system only knows what you tell it. You've earned the right to a smoother process. Don't let the airline hide it from you. But the digital world isn't the only place where the rules have tightened. We need to talk about the Real ID deadline that finally stuck. Starting in early 2026, if you show up to a TSA checkpoint with a driver's license that isn't Real ID compliant, you aren't just getting a lecture, you are getting hit with a $45 ConfirmID fee. TSA has introduced this fee-based alternative identity verification for anyone who doesn't have the proper gold star on their license or a valid passport. It's a modernized biometric system that takes up to 30 minutes to process. Imagine being charged $45 just to verify you are who you say you are while the clock is ticking on your flight. This is catching seniors off guard more than anyone else because many older licenses, even valid ones, don't pass the new 2026 automated scanners. My crew tested advice: do not gamble with your state ID. Always carry a backup form of identification, like a passport card, even for a short flight to visit family. If the scanner glitches, look the officer in the eye and say, I have secondary federal identification available. That sentence stops the ConfirmID fee in its tracks. Now, let's talk about what's inside your bag. In 2026, TSA is cracking down on medication and medical devices with a level of intensity we haven't seen in a decade. If you carry pills, liquid prescriptions, or a CPAP machine, you are a target for secondary screening. Unlabeled containers are now triggering a hard stop. TSA is looking for specific chemicals and gel packs used for keeping meds cold. And if you haven't declared them correctly, they can be confiscated on the spot. The magic script here is non-negotiable. When you put your medical bag on the belt, tell the officer, this is a medically necessary item. I am requesting a visual inspection. By using the phrase medically necessary, you are invoking a specific protocol that limits how they can handle your items. Never apologize for your health. If you use the right language, the TSA agent moves from being an interrogator to a facilitator. But if you're silent, you're just another passenger with suspicious liquids. This leads us to a massive shift in how you board the plane. Airlines are pushing digital-only boarding passes harder than ever. They want you to use the app for everything. But in my 12 years as a travel advisor, I've seen the digital wall fail too many times. In 2026, if an airline system glitches and the app goes down, a gate agent has very little manual power to help you if you only have a phone screen. However, a paper boarding pass is a physical contract. When technology fails, the agent can manually override a paper boarding pass much faster than they can a frozen app on your phone. I've personally helped travelers get onto flights they would have missed, simply because they had that piece of paper in their hand. When you check in, use this script: may I please have a printed boarding pass as a backup for my records? It's free, it's your right, and it protects you when the automated future decides to take a nap. You aren't being old-fashioned. You're being an operator who understands that in 2026, paper is power. And speaking of security, there is a silent exception for travelers over 65 that no no one announces over the loudspeaker. You are never required to rush through that checkpoint if it causes you pain or balance issues. In 2026, TSA officers are required to offer modified screenings for seniors with mobility limitations, but they are legally forbidden from guessing who needs it. If you have a hip replacement, a pacemaker, or just can't stand for 5 minutes in a scanner, you must speak up. Say, "I have mobility limitations, and I am requesting a modified screening." This phrase is your legal shield. It allows you to keep certain orthopedic shoes or medical support garments on that younger passengers are forced to remove. I've watched seniors silently struggle, wobbling on one foot, because they didn't want to cause trouble. Let me be your drill sergeant for a second. You are not causing trouble. You are requesting a lawful accommodation that you paid for with your taxes and your ticket. The same applies once you get to the gate. In 2026, pre-boarding has moved from age-based to need-based. If you sit quietly in the back, they will start general boarding and you will be caught in the stampede. To get your rightful place at the front, you must use the magic sentence at the gate desk. "I require extra time to board safely." That sentence activates your protection under the Air Carrier Access Act. It's not about guilt, it's about safety. And once you're on that plane, the battle for your seat begins. Airlines in 2026 are doing more last-minute weight and balance seat reassignments than ever before. Behind the scenes, the computer often flags seniors for these moves because the algorithm assumes you'll be more flexible or less likely to complain than a business traveler. If an agent tries to move you from your carefully chosen seat to a middle seat in the back of the plane, you are allowed to say no. Use this script: "I am not able to change seats due to specific comfort and mobility needs." By using the words mobility needs, you make it a safety issue rather than a preference. Most agents will move on to someone else the moment they realize you know your rights. And let's talk about that overhead bin. In 2026, airlines are quietly discouraging flight attendants from helping with bags to reduce injury claims. I need you to hear me clearly. You should never lift a heavy carry-on into that bin yourself. Not at 65, not at 85. A bag strain in a pressurized cabin is a medical emergency waiting to happen. If you need help, do not apologize. Look at the crew and say, "May I please have assistance with my bag?" It is part of their job to ensure the cabin is safe. If they can't help, they are required to find someone who can or gate check the bag for you for free. Next, we have the most sensitive topic: bathroom access. In 2026, airlines have become much stricter about the stay-seated rule due to increased turbulence reports. But medical necessity still overrides every cabin rule. If you have an urgent need and the seatbelt sign is on, do not suffer in silence. Use the emergency script, catch a flight attendant's eye and say, "I have a medical emergency and need the restroom." Using the word emergency forces a protocol change. They will coordinate with the cockpit to ensure you are safe, rather than just telling you to sit back down. But what happens if the airline truly fails you? What if they deny your boarding or break your mobility device? You need to call for the nuclear option. Every airport has a CRO, a complaints resolution official. They are the only people with the power to override a gate agent's decision on the spot. If you are being treated unfairly, say, "I need to speak with the CRO immediately." It is the only sentence that will make an airline manager sweat. Now, we have to talk about a massive change that is sending shockwaves through the travel community in 2026. This is the Southwest shift. For 50 years, if you requested a wheelchair, you were automatically at the front of the line. But as of late January 2026, Southwest Airlines officially ended wheelchair-first boarding. They did this to close what they called a loophole, but it's hitting genuine senior travelers the hardest. In 2026, the policy has shifted. Requesting a wheelchair gets you help to the gate, but it no longer guarantees you a spot at the front of the plane. You are now being grouped with general boarding unless you prove a specific medical need for extra time. If you are flying Southwest or any airline following this new efficiency trend, you cannot rely on the wheelchair to get you on the plane early. You must use the magic sentence I gave you earlier: "I require extra time to board safely due to mobility limitations." On Southwest, this is the only way to get a PRBD pre-board marking on your 2026 boarding pass. If you don't see those 4 letters, you'll be stuck in the back of the plane while everyone else takes the front seats. Next, let's talk about the Golden Age shoe exception. You might have heard the news that the TSA ended the shoes-off requirement for everyone in early 2026. This sounds like a win, right? But here is the terminal truth I've seen on the ground. The new scanners are hypersensitive. While you can keep your shoes on, if your shoes have even a tiny bit of metal, like a shank in an orthopedic boot or a heavy buckle, the scanner will trigger a hard alarm. In 2026, a hard alarm at the new scanners means an automatic full-body pat-down. I've seen seniors who were happy to keep their shoes on end up in tears because they were subjected to a 10-minute intrusive search. My 12-year travel advisor advice: if you are wearing anything other than simple sneakers, take them off anyway. Don't let the new rules lure you into a secondary screening that ruins your mood before you even get to the gate. Finally, we have to address the ID tax. I mentioned Real ID earlier, but as of February 1st, 2026, the TSA has officially launched ConfirmID. If you show up with a non-compliant ID, they won't turn you away, but they will refer you to a modernized identity verification kiosk. This kiosk charges a mandatory $45 fee to run a biometric and public record check on you in real time. They are calling it a convenience fee, but for a senior on a fixed income, it's a $45 penalty for not having the right plastic in your wallet. If you don't have a real ID with a gold star or a valid passport, you are paying a privateer tax just to enter the terminal. Check your wallet right now. If you don't see that star and you don't have a passport, you are walking into a $45 trap. The 2026 airport is designed for speed and profit, not for people. But when you know the magic words, when you understand the ConfirmID traps, and when you refuse to be bullied into an aisle chair early, you take back the power. You aren't just a passenger, you are an operator. I want to hear from you. Has anyone been hit with that $45 fee yet? Or did you experience the new Southwest boarding rules? Drop a comment below. Your stories are the black box data that helps me protect the next traveler. Remember, protection is power. Hit that subscribe button to stay ahead of the airlines. Stay confident, and I'll see you at the gate.